Next up, we are sharing important information on seeing 2020 in 2020. Come on back, everyone. Welcome back, everyone. Our next guest is one of the leading ophthalmologists in the country. He trains thousands of other doctors as well, and he is here today sharing the latest advancements in eye health. And I could not be happier because I certainly have never been more interested in a subject than this. Welcome back, our friend, Dr. Kerry Assil. Welcome back, Doctor.
Doctor, thank you for being here.
This is such an important topic for so many Americans, millions as a matter of fact. And we joke about it all the time, and I say, you know, I can't see, but
I go like this, Debbie, I'm right here, just follow the voice. I'm right beside you.
But I mean, my vision isn't that bad, but when you are doing what we do and reading teleprompter, your eyes can get very tired, as I imagine, you know, someone who's reading a screen, same thing. And you treat so many different eye issues, one of them being dry eye, which is millions of people suffer from, and I may be suffering from dry eye myself. What exactly is happening with dry eye?
Millions of people do suffer from dry eye. The tears have lots of components, oil, water, and mucus, and lots of nutrients. And when the most common cause of dry eye is when the oil layer is not sufficient, and therefore the water layer evaporates faster because there's no oil floating on top of it.
Oh, that
makes sense. Certain things that people do, such as sitting on tablets all day, you know.
Screens. Gotcha.
We normally blink 12 times per minute. On tablets, we only blink 3 or 4 times a minute.
Wow. Is that also computer screens?
Computer screens, absolutely. Cell phones, computer screens. As a result of the lack of blinking, those oil glands dry up permanently over time. So people can get permanent dry eye.
If you're not blinking enough.
If you're not blinking enough. So remind yourself to blink when you're on the tablets.
And if you do have permanent dry eye, is there a...
It becomes a problem. We're getting better at waking up those oil glands. We use certain light frequencies into the skin and massage the oil glands and so forth. So we're getting better at it, but it's better to just remember to blink.
Okay, well, I'm going to blink like 7,000 times in the next few minutes right now just to make sure that I get it in here. Now, let's talk about eye freckle, because this is another condition, but this one's much more noticeable, correct?
Right. So freckles on the whites of the eye, I think, is what you're referring to.
Yes, that's the one. Yes, exactly.
Right there.
See that?
Yeah.
So freckles on the white of the eye are no different than freckles elsewhere on the body. Little, cells called melanocytes that are responsible for creating the pigment in our hair and in the colored parts of our eyes and other colored parts of the bodies. If a few of them clump together, they can start producing pigment anywhere. The same thing on the whites of the eyes. There, it's more noticeable. Even a tiny freckle like that wouldn't be noticed elsewhere on the body, stands out against the white background. And
are they problematic?
Well, because they're so noticeable, people can usually monitor it themselves to make sure that it doesn't become a melanoma, or any freckle on the body can become a cancer. They usually don't.
I see.
If it's been there all your life, nothing to worry about. If it's come on more recently, monitor it. We've recently come up with minimally invasive techniques where we can remove them without irritation. Yeah, like that example. But again, if it's not bothering you, just monitor it. You know, that's what the makeup mirrors are for, is to examine your freckles.
But it almost looks like a broken blood vessel has just sort of gathered together. That's not what it is.
It depends on how dark they get. You know, the picture you see there on the left is just pigment, and if it's darker pigment, then it'll look darker. If it's grayish pigment, it'll look gray. It can look any color or shape, really.
Okay.
And some you said you're born with, and others you can develop over time. Are there certain things we shouldn't do?
We think sun exposure, just like other conditions of dry eye and surfer eye, you know, you see the people get the red blotches on the surface of their eye a lot.
Sure.
We think it's sun exposure, and the reason they tend to occur more often on the side near the nose is that part gets the direct UV and also the indirect from the side of the nose. So that area gets a double dose.
Oh my gosh.
So sunglasses could be a good thing in that setting.
Wow, that's fascinating that it's really like getting a freckle on your skin from the sun. You can get it in your eyeball. I had no idea about that. So macular degeneration is the leading cause of vision loss amongst people who are aging. What is happening with the macular degeneration, and does macular degeneration start earlier for people who don't have great vision as children?
No, not necessarily. You know, degeneration just means what we think it means. It means something that's falling apart. In the case of macular degeneration, it's the lining of cells in the retina responsible for vision that start to become poorly functional and atrophy. There's two types of macular degeneration. One called wet, where blood vessels leak fluid, and another one called dry, which is the more common variety. What we're learning about it at the moment is mostly, in the case of the wet, we have all kinds of treatments. In the case of the dry, the more common variety, is probably prevention is still the best thing. Nutrition and health habits.
Let's talk about that a little bit. We've talked about some of the problems, right? We've lined these out, and maybe some people at home can relate to some of the things we're talking about. Now let's talk about what we can do as a solution, one of which is certain foods can really help the health of our eyes. Tell us which ones.
Yeah, so quickly, anything that's high in antioxidants, so everything from blueberries, which are now considered a superfood, to green leafy vegetables, to eating fish, and then certain things that you wouldn't expect. Baby aspirin goes a long ways, as beer and black tea and red wine.
What?
You just kind of slipped beer in there, like, you know what I mean? Like you went from blueberries, leafy greens, to beer.
Red wine.
So
I don't know about you, Doc, but anytime I've had beer or red wine, my vision's gotten better.
yeah, that's exactly.
So I don't know how that works.
Mine's gotten better. I think it's a genetic thing.
Yeah, it's all quantity based, like quantity dependent, everybody.
Well, why beer or red wine?
Those also have certain antioxidants in them.
You also have some really great tips and some advice for our children and their ocular health.
So the World Health Organization has deemed that nearsightedness is going to be the next major epidemic worldwide. And we think it's for several reasons. We think that a lot of it has to do with the fact that children are spending less and less time outdoors and more time on electronics. So they're spending their time up here and not outdoors. And that has a dual effect. When you're not outdoors, we know that the sun is important in certain aspects of development of the eye. And also being outdoors and seeing far away prevents people from becoming extremely nearsighted. So you want to let the kids play outside for all kinds of reasons, the social reasons, the health reasons of general exercise in the body, but also for proper eye development.
Interesting. Well, I'll be coming in to see you, and hopefully I'll be seeing you much better soon.
Yeah. Thank you, Doctor. Thank you so much, for sure. Very helpful.
Thank you both for being
here. Okay, we're
here.
right here, Deb. We're right here.
All right.
Yeah, that's right. Just look that way, and you can take us out. Take us to commercial.
For more information, you all can go to hallmarkchannel.com, and you can also visit assileye.com. Thank you so much.
Awesome.